In this first semester, we've looked at several tricks the editor can have in their bags to expand their creative horizons. When it all gets boiled down, nothing says nothing like a cut that's just part of the flow. In this episode, we're getting down to nuts and bolts as we look at the decisions behind making an edit and what we can do as editors to make our sequences seamless. Stay low and take cover. We're cutting class. The role of editor is one that often goes unseen, and with good reason. Our primary role is to create projects with edits that contribute to the overall production without distracting from it. Now, there are times when we're called to jarringly shake things up. More often than not, our cuts need to be invisible. I'd normally be saying here something like, hey, for more info, let's watch this. But sadly, the AV cart took a spill for the worse this week and is in the repair shop. So instead, here's a list of recommended reading. In the Blink of an Eye by Walter Murch. Now, this is a must-read for any editor. Quick, concise, and incredibly powerful. Understanding Movies by Louis Giannetti. A rich understanding of the history and aesthetics of the moving image. If you're going to speak the language, this is your style guide, lectionary, and compendium all in one. The Visual Story by Bruce Block. This is a good primer on the aesthetics of composition in the moving image. It'll help develop your eye. These books will give you a great deal of theory and a rich historic perspective that, if put to use, will make you a better editor. Let's start cutting. What we have here in our bin is a series of shots from Video Tracks 2. These were actually clips that were shot for a film at some point in time, and we're going to put them together. Scrubbing through these clips, it's easy to see that they were all from the same scene. Fortunately for us, these clips were produced for continuity and made note of such things as screen direction and content continuity. This is going to help our edits. Here I have two clips. I'm going to assume that they're from somewhere at the beginning of the scene, as both shots introduce our medic, who's the central character and hero for most of the scene. Our hero's being lowered into the battle scene and hops off his tether to run to the aid of a wounded GI. We have matching action in both of these shots. The tether lowers and our soldier hops off. To make our cut between these shots believable, we want them to flow together so it appears to be one smooth sequence. We're going to use a technique that's referred to as cutting on the action, meaning that our edit point, the juncture of the two clips, occurs in the midst of the action that matches up between the two shots. Now notice that as our tether lowers to the ground and the soldier's feet hit, there's a little bit of a bob on the tether. First it's going down, a little thing I like to refer to as gravity, and as the soldier touches down, the tether now shifts to the left as a result. As he hops off, the tether appears to rise slightly and he's off and running. Now, where do we place our cut? There's several spots where it could work. The main thing is we want the cut to feel natural, like one continuous event is happening. If we see some of the motion repeated here, it's telling the viewer that we have two disparate shots. Likewise, if the timing of the motion is drastically different without any repetition, it'll still feel like we have two disjunctive shots. Personally, I feel if I place this cut on the downward action of our hero dangling on the tether, that the cut occurs too soon and seems like the addition of extraneous footage. In other words, the cut becomes obvious and distracting, like I'm trying to fit some footage in. If I place it in the back end of my leading clip, after all the action is cut out, it feels like there's too long of a delay, again, distracting me from the piece. I want the cut to occur from the time he touches down to somewhere in the action of his dismount from the tether. I'm going to place it right there, the moment he touches down. I'll trim my lead clip to cut out at that point, and look for visual cues in the last frame that'll help me decide where to cut in on the tail shot. Notice the angle of the tether, the position of our hero's arm. Also take note of the background. We have two soldiers lying down and one kneeling. None of them have any muzzle flashes at this point. A little time taken for observing the details goes a long way in your edit. Let's match these up in the next shot. Set our end point and butt it up to our lead shot. Let's check it out. Pretty good. It feels natural for the most part, but there does seem to be a little delay at the beginning of the second clip, like I've popped out of the first one too early. Here I'll simply use my roll edit tool to roll my edit point over a few frames, holding on to the first shot just a smidgen longer. There we go. It's like our cut happens when the hero leaves his attachment to the chopper and enters the world of battle. The next clip we're going to tack on is this one of our hero running from the tether and into the heat of battle to attend the wounded. We're fortunate that our camera crew got this nice little quick zoom out coming off of the tether and moving through with the medic. We'll set this as our end point. Notice the third clip, as we come through the zoom, the position and stance of our hero's legs. We'll find a matching frame in our second shot. Here we go. Cut it out right here and drop our third shot in behind it. Let's give it a look. We want the third clip to have a little more zoom to it, so we'll use our ripple tool to tack a couple of frames on at the head of the clip. Now the second shot flows very nicely into the third, and we could easily leave it like this. But as editors, our job is not limited to the details of each individual cut. We need to look at the big picture. If we play back our 3 clips in the same sequence, we get a better idea. Each of the cuts works individually as a transition, but in relation to each other, it now feels like we have extraneous and unnecessary footage. Let's remove the second clip and see how our edit works with just the first and third clips. We could just lift or delete this clip, but that would leave a gap in our timeline, and we would then have to shift everything to butt the clips together. We'll perform a ripple delete. Select the second clip and hit delete while holding down the shift key. The clip is removed and everything automatically shifts to join the 2 clips together. Let's see how these 2 clips play. Not bad, but I think we can tighten this edit up even further. We're going to fine-tune our edit in the trim edit window, known in other apps as the trim monitor. From our tool palette, let's choose our edit selection tool. Note that when we bring it into our timeline, it appears as a crosshair. We'll simply click drag over our edit point, and it'll become highlighted and the trim edit window opens. The window on the left displays the last frame of our first clip, and the window on the right displays the first frame of our second clip. This way we can see the frames on our edit point simultaneously while we trim them. A built-in tool to the trim edit window that's a nice feature is the trim forward and back buttons. By default, these allow us to roll our edits forward and back by 1 or 5 frames at a time. We can change these values if we need to in our preferences. For example, by clicking +1, we roll the edit 1 frame forward, or by clicking -5, we roll the edit back 5 frames. We're going to roll the edit slightly here, but it still doesn't feel spot on. So we're going to use our ripple tool to tack a few frames onto the head of our second clip. Nice. That feels like a natural flow in the edit. Before, when we had 3 clips, it felt a little unnatural, like we were covering the action from multiple angles, but trying to force all the footage into the final edit. In it, our hero exited the screen twice, in 3 shots, to get to his destination. By removing the second shot, although we like the edit, our sequence was improved. Let's make some more cuts here and check out the sequence, complete with commentary. Okay, here's our war sequence. Obviously our shots are going to be ordered in that they make sense to the overall story, meaning our content is going to be related from shot to shot. Here's our cut that we made together. Our hero medic has entered the scene. Notice how it's just a small part of the whole picture. One thing that helps is our audio flows together. It's associated with our imagery, not tied to it. It creates greater continuity. If we had just crickets and guys yelling, you get the picture. Here's a little cheap device to tie loose ends made by a lack of footage in the story. Another thing that helps sell the illusion of continuity is having a continuous color palette in terms of style and color correction. Gives me an idea for a future episode. A dip through black to cover our lapse in time. I like this cut. Zip up to pick up. Alright, our hero has no choice now but to join the fight. The editor's job is to go unnoticed and make the image on screen a continuous experience that holds the audience captive. If your cuts remain invisible and contribute to the overall movement of the piece, then you'll find yourself in command of your productions. I'm signing off for now, but we'll see you soon.